Hello, everyone. I'm Steven Schinder of Yesshift here with another installment of Steven's Vinyl Adventures. Now, this time, if you're watching the video, I actually remembered to put the branding up. Oh, the bottom has my dad's name as well. Let me just fix that. Okay. Yeah, yesterday I guess I forgot to put the branding up for my Lunar Mist review because, talking about that vinyl, I guess I was so in my head and reflective when talking about it that I just didn't occur to me that I didn't put the branding up, but I have it up now. So this time around, I'm talking about the latest album from Nektar, which is titled Mission to Mars, and it's from Deco Entertainment. And Dad will actually be interviewing their drummer, Day Didimo, later today at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And that's today, Tuesday, September 24th, 2024. So that'll be on Drum Talk TV over on Facebook and YouTube. It's sure to be a fun conversation there. But yeah, the uh, we were sent. No, I was sent this vinyl copy of the album, and yeah, it's about 32 minutes long. It's got great material on it, and I showed you the cover just now. Uh, you got the upside down head and the face right there as well. So in terms of Nectar, my familiarity with them, I'd heard about them, and it's possible I may have listened to their first couple albums. And if I have, it might have been years and years ago. So before getting into this particular album, the cover kind of paints an idea of what you might expect. I think because of the outer space theme of it and the title, I was expecting something a little bit more psychedelic, perhaps, psychedelic prog. And so when I put it on, it was a bit different from what I expected. So on side one, yeah, and I'll show you the back side. It's got a great group shot right there in concert. Um, so, side one, Mission to Mars. It felt very much like a rock and roll track. It kind of reminded me of some of the 70s rock types of things that you would hear from around that time, but it's really good. A common theme throughout this album, I would say, through all four of these tracks, both sides, is I feel like it's all about, the emotions that we go through, the highs and lows. A bit of it is about getting to your higher self. And so I was really into this. In the middle of the title track, there's a nice little keyboard solo that stuck out to me. I think the keyboards are what I paid more attention to during this listen. Everyone is doing a good job, but I think for some reason I was sort of gravitating toward the keyboard moments. So Mission to Mars, and then the next track on side one, Long Lost Sunday. They feel like they are cut from the same cloth, similar feel. So it makes sense that they are back to back. They are very rocking. And then side two, the first track on side two is titled One Day High, One Day Low. And it's a bit more like what I expected when I just looked at the album and how it looks. It feels a bit more proggy, especially the keyboard bits. And then the closing track, I'll Let You In, was also a bit of a surprise because it begins feeling a bit quieter, a bit more ballady, but as it keeps going, the rest of the instrumentation comes in, so it feels like a fuller soundscape. In terms of writing credits for Mission to Mars and One Day High, One Day Low, those are credited to Klonda, Moore, and Scott. is it Klonda or Chlonda? Sorry if I'm not super familiar, but and Long Lost Sunday and I'll Let You In, the same but without Scott. So yeah, and I'll show you a bit more of how the the thing that the disc is in looks. So taking this out, so on one side you have the this blurb talking about a bit about the process of the album. It started developing during COVID, so Zoom was how people communicated and whatnot. Talking about how a little bit about the tracks coming together, and it lists the personnel here. So you got Derek Mo Moore on bass and vocals, Reich Chlonda on guitars and vocals, Kendall Scott on synthesizers, orchestral programming. Yeah, I forgot to mention the beginning of the third track, One Day High, One Day Low, feels some symphonic, orchestral. It has that feel to it. So that's what made it feel different from what was on side one. Then, of course, you have Jay Didymo on drums and percussion, Marianne Costello also on vocals, and the Mission to Mars production team includes Jay Petsko, who did visual conceptions, photos, layout, and design, and Joel Simkis, front of house sound. Yes fans might be familiar with Joel, part of the Total Mass Retain tribute band team there. So really cool connection. And you got Helmut Wensk, who did the cover art, which I showed you a moment ago. And yeah, copyright 2024. And the Nektar Man, copyright 1973. So that's this symbol here in the corner. I'm trying to see if there's a good way I can show it. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. So I guess that's their equivalent of the glider that appears on several Yes releases. Produced by Reich and Derek, mastered by Leon Zervos, recorded at Shorefire Recording Studios, Long Branch, New Jersey. And they got the special thanks. It's a huge paragraph, of all the names that they thank, or actually two different paragraphs, and a third one that lists the endorsements. And of course, you got the picture of Mars as a backdrop for that. And on the other side, you have the lyrics. And I love that when they include the lyrics on these things. It's against an outer space backdrop. It's very colorful, bluish green. And, I'm not a physicist or an astronomer or astrophysicist, I guess would be the thing. So I wonder what the proper terms for this cloud looking thing might be, nebula, stuff like that. I watch a lot of sci-fi, but I don't have everything straight in my head as far as all that terminology is concerned. And I'll go ahead and show you the record itself. Just take it out of this. So it looks very purplish, but also transparent. And you also got swirling blues and reds all around. And when I saw the Nektar Man at the top here in the middle above the Nektar logo, I kind of wondered if that was, because I'm not super familiar with the Nektar iconography. I did kind of wonder if maybe it was, a scratch or something, but then I looked closer and I was like, oh, it's part of it. Okay. So that's side 1 and side 2. And you also got the Deco Entertainment logo there. I'm trying to hold it right side up so it's more readable. But yeah, I quite like the look of this. The purple matches well with the upside down head that's on the cover. And the way that these swirly colors are, it very much reminds me of some of the stuff he'd see in outer space. So yeah, and I like the how cohesive the lyrics are on the songs. Again, talking about the emotions that one can go through. You're trying to get to a better place, and that's kind of it, right? With as humans, we try to get to a better place, and you might compare that to literal exploration into space, to other worlds, other planets, and stuff like that really sparks the imagination. Thinking about other places beyond our own world, beyond this earth. But yeah, I'm quite happy with the packaging on this. I think if there's anything I would have wanted a little bit more of, I think a little bit more of the Nektar history and whatnot would have been interesting, for the uninitiated. But then again, um, like I said, I may have heard bits of Nektar prior to this, but I'm not as intimately familiar with the whole history of the band. So for someone like me, I think like a little timeline and maybe the full discography. I know there's been various um, changes and a bit of a branching and whatnot from what I looked at, but yeah, something like that might have at least maybe condensed the history of Nektar a bit. But then again, maybe the main consumers who get this record are already Nektar fans. Maybe that is what they're expecting. But I think it's also good to keep in mind, like, what if this could be someone's first Nektar album that they've ever listened to? They might see it in the store, they're a casual music listener, and they're like, oh, what's this? And they pick it out and then hear for themselves and what they think of the band. And maybe they'll want more after that, so go back in the catalog. And Jay Didymo came into the band, succeeding the late Ron Howden. He passed away. Ron passed away almost a year ago, September 29th last year. So Jay was able to work with the band and get this done with them, and it came out really well. And they've played shows this year. So yeah, I'm really curious to hear more about that whole process. And like I said, Dad is interviewing Jay later today, Tuesday, September 24th, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, over on Drum Talk TV. And if you're watching this on Drum Talk TV, then you're in the right place. But this is also being simulcast on Yesshift, this particular thing that I'm broadcasting right now. But yeah, so keep an eye out for that interview. Jay has a lot of experience, worked with a lot of people, really interesting history. And I think he fits. It seems like he works very well with the band here. They feel cohesive as a unit. So yeah, I got Nektar's Mission to Mars. See if it's like your tastes, or maybe it'll help you branch out a little bit more. And you might get more curious about some of their other releases. So thanks for tuning in. And, even if you're watching or listening after the fact, feel free to comment, your thoughts on Nektar and their releases. What are your favorites? Have you listened to this new album? And yeah, so you can follow Drum Talk TV at Drum Talk TV on various socials, and Yesshift at Yesshift on various socials. And yeah, so thanks again, everyone, and see you all soon. I might put something out, at least one thing by the end of this month of September for Yesshift. We'll see how that pans out, with all the stuff going on our end. But yeah, thanks again, and see you all soon.